There was a time in Africa when visiting friends and family required an often stressful trip by bus. But with the increased popularity of air travel, more Africans are taking to the skies to reach their destination. It's led to a fall in prices as well as increased competition. But how many of these new players to the industry can survive? Kevin Mwachiro's in Nairobi, and he's been finding out.
Nairobi 0800, airborne 0810.
Another busy day at Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. It is East Africa's busiest airport. More than 120 flights taking off and landing daily. An average of 80 flights destined for Africa alone. Over 5 million passengers passing through its doors every year.
Okay, this screen is mainly for flight monitoring.
Hub airports have now sprung in all four corners of the continent. City-to-city and intercontinental travel now made easy.
Are you with our figures?
Smaller airlines are replacing the now almost extinct national airlines. Competition between carriers fierce. Price wars galore. More happy customers are now taking off.
Yes, there are lots of new competitors in this area, but each competitor, I think, is trying to focus on a particular kind of niche business, except for the large network carriers. And I think there's room for all of us to do well, but each one of us has to have particular product strengths and propositions to the customers to be relevant and appealing.
Having more routes across the continent has made accessible cities and towns that were previously unreachable. For many of the African airlines now, their strategy for the continent is to increase connectivity across Africa.
Sub-Sahara's big three carriers, South African Airways, Ethiopian Airlines and Kenya Airways, have at least 30 destinations each on the continent. At the forefront of this expansion is Kenya Airways, who've made growth in Africa their priority.
We see a chance to go to markets where people will say, would you go to Bangui? Would you go to Ndola? We will prove that our market study is correct and that there is new markets that are just waiting to be explored.
When other airlines are struggling in the global recession, African airlines have almost come out of the crisis untouched. However, oil prices are eating into profits. The turbulence is far from over.
African Airlines, the biggest challenge is access to finance. Cost of an aircraft is very, very expensive. So buying a new aircraft is actually something that is out of the reach of many aircraft. So what you tend to find is that a lot of African aircraft are older aircraft. That's one big challenge, the fact that they're using old aircraft that are not efficient, and they're not fuel efficient, they're costly to maintain, and therefore do not contribute much to profitability.
But in this age of increased competition, many airlines are sprucing up their image and turning on the charm offensive to draw in African travelers who are now more than ever upward bound.
I think it's far easier to travel in Africa now due to the presence of many airline companies, and the prices are cheaper because there's a big competition, so airplanes are actually lowering their prices.
They should improve upon the services like online ticketing, online checking in, and a lot of connections should happen so that we don't have a lot of transit time and those things.
The makeup of the traveler that you come across the continent's major airports is also changing. There are more businessmen and women transiting to and from the Middle East. There are more Africans exploring the continent. And the search for the continent's oil and mineral wealth has led to more prospectors crisscrossing the continent.
Old and new carriers will still need to prove to the world that their safety standards, punctuality and quality of service have truly taken to the skies. Kevin Mwachiro's Africa Business Report, Nairobi.
And that's it from this edition of Africa Business Report, coming to you from Gaborone, Botswana. Now, you can find out more about any of the stories we ran on this program by visiting our website, bbc.com/Africa Business Report. That's bbc.com/Africa Business Report. You can also check us out on Facebook as well. So until next time, from me, Komla Dumont, it's goodbye.
Now, a group of Maasai warriors in Kenya have turned from hunting lions to protecting them as part of a unique wildlife project. They've been employed by a conservation charity to help track the lions and document their whereabouts. Their efforts have paid off. The Lion Guardians are helping to stem the rapid decline of the largest of Africa's big cats. Here's Dimitri O'Donnell.
Perched high on rocks overlooking Kenya's plains, a group of so-called lion guardians keep watch over Africa's big cats. In the past, their ancestors hunted lions. Now the Maasai warriors are using their unique set of skills to help protect them. They use a tracking device donated by a conservation charity to keep tabs on scores of lions across 1 million acres of ranches at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro. This man says we're now employed as lion guardians and we're benefiting from the protection of lions, and the lions in the area are increasing in numbers. These women have come out to welcome the Lion Conservation Project to their community. Animal welfare experts say having the support of the Maasai warriors has been invaluable.
They go out and track them and they tell their communities where the lions are, so they know not to herd there. So we're trying to reduce the amount of conflict that we're getting between the livestock and the lions.
Around 100 lions are killed in Kenya every year. Wildlife experts say if the trend continues, lions will be extinct in the country within 20 years. The charity working with the Guardians say they've helped prevent more than 10 hunting parties from killing lions. Campaigners say it's been such a success, they hope to raise enough funds to employ another 8 warriors to join this unique group of lion protectors. Dimitri O'Donnell, BBC News.
Now to Africa. Governments there very often struggle to agree on common policies. They're having a go at it today as they gather in Addis Ababa to forge a united position on climate change.
The African Union hoping to come up with a stance that will push the world's biggest economies to take significant steps to slow down global warming. Our East Africa correspondent Peter Grester has more.
On a pretty river in a beautiful corner of Africa, a drought is biting hard. 10 cows, too weak with hunger to climb the riverbank. The drought is one of the worst natural disasters in Kenya's history, and many people here are blaming global climate change. Because Africa is so dependent on the land, every time there's an extreme climate event like a severe drought, people are forced to push the land beyond its limits. That only aggravates the effects of climate change, and we can expect to see a lot more tragedies like this. African environmentalists admit that bad farming practices like overgrazing have made things worse, but they say while Africans contribute least to global warming overall, they're expected to suffer the most from its effects. Which is why the continent is determined to push for dramatic action at the Global Climate Change meeting in Copenhagen next December.
We know the problem. We even know how to solve the problem. But there has been no action. There is need for this political will and support to enable transformative change within the political, the technical landscape of climate change response and management.
But African governments are as widely diverse as its landscape. If it's not drought in one corner of the continent, it's floods in another. This disaster last year in Mozambique. In the past, it's proven as tough to bring governments together as it has been to make sense of the weather. Now, though, says Kenya's Environment Secretary, that's changing.
We have a common denominator in a particular region, and environmental problems really have got no political boundaries or administrative boundaries. So it makes more sense that Africa should think first and foremost as one continent.
Environmentalists believe that African governments can't afford not to think as one when it comes to climate change. Droughts like last year's in Ethiopia make that clear enough. But there's no guarantee that they will come up with a unified position at Monday's meeting in Addis Ababa. If they can't, though, they're a lot less likely to win concessions in Copenhagen. Peter Grester, BBC News, Nairobi.